And then also, Spencer, one of my observations is that only 7 teams won stages in this Vuelta. UAE won seven stages for one team. It's been a while. Alpecin and Visma and Ineos each won 3 stages. And then Little Trek and Red Bull and Groupama won 1. 17 teams did not win, or 16 teams did not win a stage.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are holding down the fort at the Move while everyone's on their late summer vacation, but we'll be breaking down the Vuelta a España, which we just watched and covered in detail day by day, Johan. But just to catch everybody up, if you've not been watching the show, well, first, let's take a quick ad break, and then I'll catch everybody up. So we'll be right back after we hear from these sponsors. Hey, everybody, this episode of The Move is brought to you by NordVPN. I love NordVPN. You can use it for all types of things. You can use it for extra security when you're logging on to your bank account or email on public Wi-Fi. But my favorite thing to use it for is watching cycling, no matter where I am on my favorite services. I was watching this Vuelta a España daily with NordVPN. It allows you to access your favorite streams and any content you want when you're at the content you watch at home, no matter where you are in the world. And you can easily switch your virtual location to access apps and websites in other countries. It's easy to use, connect with one click, or enable auto connect for 0-click protection. I could even set it to turn on a certain time every day, so I didn't even have to turn it on when I woke up. It was already on. Boom, I'm watching my Vuelta stages. It has 7,500 servers in 118 countries. You can change your virtual location very easily. Someone that knows nothing about technology can use this. It has great speed. It's one of the fastest VPNs out there. And one account can be used on 10 devices, which is key for me because I've got races running on multiple computers, multiple phones. And if anyone's like, oh, you want to watch cycling on such and such service, but you need a VPN, you're like, oh, man, that is too hard. Well, it's not too hard. I promise you. Just get NordVPN and it will be self-explanatory how to use it. Get your exclusive NordVPN deal here at nordvpn.com/themove. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Link is in the episode show notes, nordvpn.com/themove, and you can sign up with no risk. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. I used to have a big, bulky wallet. It was bothering me on planes every time I sat down, so I looked up what is the best thin wallet. I need to change my game. And I found one with unique, slim, modern design that can hold up to 12 cards plus cash. And it was Ridge Wallet. And now they're a sponsor of the show. And you can get the thing about Ridge Wallet, other than being slim and cool, is they're made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. So you can have a wallet that matches your bike. And it's available in more than 50 colors. All Ridge wallets have a lifetime warranty. So it's literally the last one you'll ever buy. And if you want peace of mind when you're out and about, they have RFID blocking technology so no one can steal your credit card when you're on a crowded tube. And right now, Ridge has their sweepstakes going, their legendary sweepstakes. It is the last day to enter. So make sure you enter it now by buying a Ridge wallet. Every dollar you spend on the website gives you more chances of winning. And what are you winning, you might ask? Well, 2 lucky winners will get to choose between a $280,000 Lamborghini Sterrato, a $100,000 Hennessy Velociraptor, so you look like a pro surfer, or $100,000 in cash. Frankly, to be boring, at the risk of sounding boring, I would probably take the cash, but you can choose whichever one you want. So if you're ready to upgrade your wallet and maybe your ride, for a limited time only, head to ridge.com and use code THEMOVE at checkout for 10% off your order and a chance to win Ridge's sweepstakes, which ends today. No purchase necessary to enter, but every dollar you spend gets you more entries. That's ridge.com/themove. And remember, the sweepstakes ends today. And after you purchase, I'll ask you where you heard about them. Say us to support us. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into the show. All right, Johan. Well, the winner of the overall, Jonas Vingegaard, the pre-race favorite, it finishes a minute 16 in front of João Almeida from UAE Team Emirates. XRG, who finishes second. Tom Pidcock, shocking result, I think, in third place at 3:11. Jai Hindley in fourth at 3:41. Matthew Riccatello, the American, at 5:55 wins the Young Jersey classification. Mads Pedersen wins the points classification handily over the Jonas Vingegaard. Johan on UAE wins the KOM classification. And then the most important classification, teams, of course, won by UAE over Team Visma Lisa Bike. There's no race to break down from yesterday, Johan, because the protests in Madrid, I had feared that it wouldn't be able to run. It was not able to run. We'll get into that and like where the sport's going in the future. But I had actually forgotten that we started this race in Italy. That seems like a lifetime ago. So I'm going to run through the stage winners and then I'm going to ask you for your takeaway of this race. If you can remember, back in Torino, Jasper Philipsen wins the sprint, gets the first leader's jersey of the race. And then we should have seen it coming. Jonas Vingegaard wins the first uphill finish, takes the red jersey. David Gaudu, I also forget about this one, won stage 3, really impressive maneuver to win over, I believe, Mads Pedersen and Jonas Vingegaard. Ben Turner from Ineos wins stage 4. UAE wins the time trial in stage 5. Jonas gets the jersey back from David Gaudu, and then Jay Vine wins from a breakaway on stage 6. Torsten Train from Bahrain, victorious, takes the red jersey there. Juan Ayuso wins the next day from another breakaway. Jasper Philipsen wins the sprint stage, the last one before stage 19 on stage 8. Jonas Vingegaard wins the uphill finish on stage 9, the summit finish where he took, I believe, his biggest gap. It was not a difficult uphill finish, but he took his biggest GC gap there right before the first rest day. Coming out of that rest day, Jay Vine wins again on stage 10. Stage 11 in Bilbao, Tom Pidcock, Jonas Vingegaard coming into the finish, and there's no winner. Pidcock probably would have won. Juan Ayuso, UAE is back at it again, wins on stage 12. Stage 13, another UAE win. João Almeida wins on L'Angliru, maybe the toughest climb of the race. I'm not quite sure. Maybe stage 20. Marc Soler, another UAE win on stage 14. Mads Pedersen wins out of the breakaway on stage 15. Super impressive performance there. Egan Bernal wins the shortened on the road stage 16. Giulio Pellizzari wins stage 17, summit finish where he clipped away from the GC group. Filippo Ganna wins the individual time trial on stage 18. Jasper Philipsen wins the sprint stage on stage 19. Jonas Vingegaard wins the uphill finish, the Bola de Mundo on stage 20. Opens a 20-ish second on the road gap, gets 10 bonus seconds, wraps up his overall win. Tom Pidcock defends his third place. Matthew Briccatello jumps into 5th and gets the white jersey. But Johan, what is your takeaway of this Vuelta a España?
There's a lot to say about the Vuelta, and we're going to get a bit more in details about the circumstances that surrounded this Vuelta. But I think my takeaway is that the big pre-race favorite won the race. Jonas Vingegaard, he was the huge favorite. The big pre-race challenger, João Almeida, finished second. And then the surprising third spot of Tom Pidcock. I think nobody expected him to be in third. And then, listen, at least there was suspense, I think, in during the whole race. There was never a stage to say, okay, now it's over. It was actually until stage 20. Before stage 20, we still thought that there could be a change in the leader's jersey. So that was good for the race. And then also, Spencer, one of my observations is that only 7 teams won stages in this Vuelta. UAE won seven stages for one team. It's been a while. Alpecin and Visma and Ineos each won 3 stages. And then Little Trek and Red Bull and Groupama won 1. 17 teams did not win, or 16 teams did not win a stage. So yeah, in a nutshell, I think that's it. And as you said, Pedersen, the expected winner of the green jersey. UAE strongest team. Nice to see Mathieu Riccitello come, into stepping a big step forward, I think, in his career. Finishing 5th in the Vuelta and winning the white jersey, the young classification on the last stage, which was nice. And Jay Vine, King of the Mountains, 2nd year in a row, no, because he also won it last year, I think. But yeah, I think that I think everybody leaves the Vuelta, and especially the spectators, with a unsatisfied feeling, I think, because we had these protests looming over the race during 3 weeks, and we never knew when a stage was going to be able to be held or not, or whether it was going to be able to finish at the right place. And then, yesterday it all came to a mess in Madrid, where even 1,500 extra policemen couldn't control the situation. That was really a shame. And I really feel for the guys, especially the guys who have been fighting for 3 weeks, and you win a Grand Tour, Jonas. You win the green jersey in Peterson. You win the King of the Mountains. You win the white jersey, and you are not able to celebrate it. You don't have the podium. This iconic picture on the Castellana in front of the post office building, which is a really nice building. It's a beautiful picture that everybody wants to have. And now I saw that they had, at the initiative of Visma, they organized, an improvised podium ceremony on the parking lot of the hotel. That's really too bad. That's too bad.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I felt so bad for the riders yesterday. We'll talk. I have questions about why that stage even got started, because you said 1,500 police, but you look at the scenes, they needed 1 million police. There's just no amount of police that could have kept people off the road. It didn't seem totally safe for them to even go there. They probably just turned around and rode back to the airport, I guess. Because they couldn't get to their team buses, but we'll talk about that later in the episode. I kind of want to make sure we cover the racing before we move on to the sadness. I was going through these stages and I was thinking, wow, this racing was actually pretty good, but this race as a whole was probably less than the sum of its parts, because as you said, it was always looming over, like, is the stage going to get canceled? Like, where's the finish line? Are they going to be able to do this climb? I do think they probably overused the Unipuerto stage profile. Seemed like that was every other stage when I was just listing the winners there. It felt like half of those winners were won on rolling stages that finished on a final climb. Oftentimes not even, you would say, not difficult enough too. Like, it looked on paper like it'd be tough, and then it's like, well, it's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so no one's going to make the race hard. And it felt a little like we were at Groundhog Day, just the same stage over and over again. I will say Jonas Vingegaard, we should give this man some credit. People are saying we're too critical of him, but this guy wins his
I don't think we've been critical of him, Spencer. I think sometimes
we're more critical of UAE.
Some people sometimes read differently into certain comments. Like when we list, let's say, Jonas is a double Tour de France winner. It's logical that he wins, and then you say, he's a pretty good rider, which is a sarcastic way of saying he's a damn good rider. And some people sometimes say, hey, you're too hard on Jonas. I don't think I think he's, I think we're applauding him. He was the favorite, and he was not 100% and still wins the Vuelta. It's an amazing performance.
Sepp Kuss said he was having trouble breathing in the second week. You're like, that's kind of a flex on your rivals. Like, yeah, I could barely breathe. I didn't get dropped at any point, though, or lose any significant time, and I won the overall. But his last 7 Grand Tour starts, this is not even finished, his starts are second, first, second, first. It's unbelievable. Has not finished off the second step of a podium at a Grand Tour overall since 2020, his first ever Grand Tour, which was the Vuelta, oddly. But this guy is unbelievable. And I actually, going back through and calculating that, like, where he took time, he really kind of won this race in the first few stages. Like, he came in strong, pushed his advantage. He had a 38-second lead by like the first, after those first 2 summit finishes. And then I do wonder if this is the Grand Tour where we finally put to bed, like, oh, these gaps are small, but they'll get bigger in the mountains, because they actually get smaller in the mountains, because that's, the variables are less. So if everyone's at roughly the same fitness, it's harder to open gaps. Really, the fruitful areas to open gaps were those mild-ish uphill finishes, high-speed uphill finishes, let's call them, in Italy, outside of Torino in the first week. And then a couple of the time trials, some time changed hands, but it was really like it was the Grand Tour of like fine margins almost. And I thought that's where Jonas kind of shined above the rest, who are very good riders. But it was like very clear at this race, like, oh, there's a reason this guy wins a lot and almost never finishes.
And also,
second.
Spencer, if you look at the situation now in hindsight, right? And I think it's logical that, there's one big favorite and people always are waiting until the big favorite cracks and if the underdog can take it. I think that's natural reaction. But Jonas has been in trouble once. I mean, I wouldn't say really in trouble because he got dropped a tiny bit from Tom Pidcock, who was not his direct rival.
Yeah.
But other than that, he has never, ever, ever lost any time to João Almeida except the time trial. And that was 10 seconds. So he had this under control, man. It was, he didn't have the condition and the strength to make a big difference, but he was never actually under pressure where it was, holding on for dear life. That has never been the case. And I think we as spectators are trying to see, let's see if now finally the underdog can make life difficult for the big favorite. But it actually has never happened. I think the Angliru, I think is the hardest climb. And he was never ever on the verge of getting dropped, I think.
Yeah, that's a very good point. He did not get dropped by his main GC rival at any point. Going through, actually was surprised. I made a great race, right, to finish 116. How
his
not
best,
close.
Also his best Grand Tour result ever. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
That's also one of the things we can say. Okay, Almeida, great rider. He had a great season. He won 3, big 1 week stage races this year. Had been on the podium of the Giro, but he's never been higher than third. And you just listed 7 top 2 results from Jonas. So, it's kind of logical. It's pure mathematics,
We're veering into American television of reductionism of there's winners and losers in sports, and Jonas is a winner, but it kind of is like that. This guy just wins, and Almeida was close, as you say. I mean, to finish second to Jonas, that's not finishing second to, all due respect, Simon Yates at the Giro. This is one of the best in the last 2 decades stage racers. But João Almeida, is it fair to say, looking back on this Vuelta, he's a defensive rider, and the problem is he was never in the lead. So he's able to defend very well, but he can only play defense against someone. But
it's Jonas. Also, I think, one of the differences between, for example, João Almeida and, let's say, Tadej Pogacar is in terms of rival for Jonas, is that Almeida is actually the ideal rival for Jonas because he doesn't have that acceleration. Whenever he wins or tries to make a difference, it's by riding his own tempo and really, really fast. And then he basically asphyxiates his rivals and has a good sprint, right? Whereas Pogacar is explosive and makes a gap and then can maintain the gap or even extend the gap. So I think that for Jonas Vingegaard, Almeida was the ideal rival. Obviously he made him suffer, but he was never dropped because Almeida is this type of rider. First, he backs off a bit, he gets his tempo, and he goes faster and faster and faster. And if Almeida's fastest rhythm will almost always be, if not ever, a good rhythm for Jonas.
Yeah, and he's kind of like a football team that they're amazing at defending, and then they go one down, and then it's like, oof, now they have to try to play catch up, but they're great
also,
at defending.
What we need to say also, Spencer, let's not forget to props to Visma. They were short one rider very early in the race, so Axel Zangler dropped out, and then from mid race on, Victor Kampenaerts, who actually got sick. And yesterday I heard, I was at the race of my son, and somebody told me there who has a good relationship with Victor that he actually went home out of precaution to not make the other riders sick, especially Jonas. They did the race with the last part of the race with 6 riders, basically with 2 riders. I would say it was Kelderman and Van Baarle who did an amazing job to control this race.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that fortune was in their favor because they didn't have to do anything on stage 20, but I frankly had forgotten they were down 2 riders by stage 20. They were so strong. And I was just going to say, I feel like Visma they're very good at common sense. It's like they're a step ahead when it comes to like Victor going home early. That kind of makes sense. Like cost benefit analysis. But this brings us right into our partner today.
Common sense, Spencer, even to the extent that thanks to Visma, there was a podium celebration of the Tour of Spain. So
true. They
even took that initiative.
Mr. Pluga over there, he's got a head on his shoulders, always thinking. But this brings us into one of our partners, Ketone IQ, because Team Visma Bike uses the Ketone IQ products. One of the main products, our favorite at the Move, is the Ketone IQ Classic Shot. Helps with high performance energy. It has 10 grams of ketones, a clean shot of energy with no sugar or caffeine. It helps, and I think we saw this with Visma, it helps with recovery and it boosts athletic performance. Because of that, in a placebo-controlled study with trained athletes, it boosted average sprint power by 19%. I need to use this, by the way. If I could get my power up 19% in the sprint, I'd be cruising. Peak power by 13%, cut fatigue by 10%, and spiked blood ketones 5 times in just 20 minutes, aided with faster recovery. And as Gabriel pointed out, our producer at the tour, we can get a little bogged down in the afternoons. He was using the Ketone IQ Classic Shot and reported not feeling that afternoon bonk when you're sitting at the computer trying to get a bunch of shows out. And if you need a little bit more, they have the Ketone IQ plus caffeine with 100 milligrams of caffeine with 5 grams of ketones, and it just gives you a little bit more extra kick. So if you want to take your shot, get 20% off your order at ketone.com/themove and use code THEMOVE at checkout to get 20% off. But Johan, Visma was great. We were pretty critical. I thought the team we were most critical of was UAE throughout this race. We were often confused by their tactics. They finished with 7 stage wins, second overall. Looking back,
plus the team classification plus the KOM.
Yeah, team, the most important one. We forgot that. But yeah, KOM teams. Looking back, I do kind of struggle with their like logic premises, but I think in terms of outcome, this is probably the best outcome they could have gotten, right?
I think so. As we said in another podcast, Spencer, you can talk about tactics and strategies all day long. I don't think that any other tactics would have changed the result. I just think that, and they probably don't care, right? But I just don't think it didn't look good when, you have one leader and then you have all these free agents running around and going for stage wins and then not being there the day that they had to be there. Would it have made a difference? I'm going to say no. It wouldn't have made a difference. And it's probably also because, we are here sitting behind our screens and looking at our TVs and judging and trying to analyze, but they know what the worth and the value and the power numbers of the riders are. And maybe they knew all the Vuelta long that it was going to be extremely difficult for João Almeida to drop Jonas.
Yep.
Then on the other hand, you can say, okay, in the case of UAE, why should they care about 7 stage wins? Why should they care about the KOM? Why should they care about the King of the Mountains? Let's try to win a Grand Tour with someone who's not Tadej Pogacar. That would have been great. But hey, at the end of the day, man, it's a pretty good Vuelta for them. Second overall, 7 stage wins. They remain, the strongest team by far in pro cycling right now. And there's not much. I think it's more, the criticism has been more about the behavior of certain riders rather than the tactics. And we don't know actually if the tactics were A and then some riders said or did B. We don't know that, right? I mean, I would think there was some kind of disagreement early on, especially with Ayuso, but that was kind of outside of the race with that press release, and then Ayuso going for stage wins and not being there when he needed to be there. But on stage 20, they were all there. they were all there. They all did what they had to do, and there was nothing to be done against Jonas. So, which other stages could they have done something differently? We're here to talk about strategies and what's good, what's not good. But if you put it all together, it's you have to have the legs, and that's sometimes it's a lot more simple than we try to analyze or overthink.
Yeah, and I thought on stage 20, it almost was it made me rethink what I was saying a lot of the times, because they did everything right, quote unquote. But then you even saw with like Vine does this like death surge, which with Pogacar's there, what it does, I believe, is it puts everyone behind over threshold. So if they follow Pogacar, they blow up. Pogacar's better, so he's not blowing up, and then he can drop them. But when you have Almeida and Vingegaard stronger, that's only helping Vingegaard. And
Exactly.
Vingegaard doesn't have to. And if you look at it, one of his biggest gaps was on the stage where UAE worked really hard all day. So you can kind of, as you say, they know this. They have access to the power numbers.
And they even got beaten by another teammate, by another Visma. Visma was 1 and 2, and UAE did all the work, So, we tend to overthink the importance of certain strategies, but we have to, right?
Yeah, we have to. We wouldn't have a show. And then in retrospect, Jay Vine going hard on stage 18 didn't really affect him, and that would have been pretty badass to win that time trial over Filippo Ganna. I'm still looking back.
Imagine 1 second.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But then just a couple questions for you that I have bounced around in my head. So João Almeida gets second. Very good race. His best Grand Tour ever. And Jonas, as we said,
think also the best ever result for Portugal in a Grand Tour in history.
Whoa.
I think there's one rider. I know he was once third in the Tour. There was a rider in the 80s. It was called Joaquim Agostinho. Was a super, super strong rider. Unfortunately, died very, very early in the last season of his career. He was in 39 or 40. He crashed in the Tour of Portugal. I remember watching this as a kid, because Agostinho was this super strong. He was massive. I mean, if you Google him, you will see he was like a rock. He was very solid, big guy, super strong. Third in the Tour, sometimes was up there with Eddy Merckx, and sometimes with Bernard Hinault, I think in the early 80s. So I think this guy got second once in a Grand Tour, but it could also be that it's the first time that somebody in Portugal is second in a Grand Tour. So that's pretty big.
And so would you say it's fair to say, is João Almeida the third best Grand Tour GC rider currently racing?
Based on current performance and recent performance, I would say yes. Then if you look at the results, I would say no, because I think the current third best rider should be Simon Yates, because he won the Vuelta and he won the Giro. And Bernal won the Tour and the Giro, but Bernal is not anymore at the level he was before his accident. But I would say, currently with and the potential he has, I think Almeida is probably the third best rider.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, no. Sorry, I'm going to take that back. Actually, I think it's Primoz.
Oh man,
I think it's Primoz.
Wow,
it's
man.
Primoz. How fast do we forget?
we do forget. I think though, and I don't know what was going on at the Tour, but it's kind of hard for me to. I don't quite know what the future holds for Primoz.
Well, listen, Primoz, the Tour. I don't think we can judge Primoz on the Tour. He went all in for the Giro, crashed. Unfortunately, Primoz crashes often. But if you look at his palmares, come on, he's won. What did he win? 4 times or 5 times the Vuelta? 4 times, no?
How many times did it? Roberto
4 times. He won the Giro once.
I think he's won this 4 times.
I think it's 4. Yeah, he's equal with Roberto Heras now.
I guess I should have qualified my question.
Wins, you know,
let's say these guys are all lined up for the Tour next year on different teams, and you have to pick 1, 2, 3, like the finish order. I might put Almeida above Primoz, like in 2026.
Well, yeah.
I agree. It's tough. It's not obvious the more I think about it.
I mean, listen, now Almeida is second now, beaten by the second best stage racer in the world. And he had a great team around him. So, you know, and he I would say also, it's difficult to judge Spencer because I don't think you can say that Almeida had an ideal preparation to the Vuelta because he crashed really, really hard in the Tour de France. And it took a long time for him to recover from the injuries, broken ribs, or, you know, bruised ribs or whatever. But anyway, who had an ideal preparation? Jonas didn't because he was tired from the Tour. Pidcock, you could say Pidcock maybe had the best preparation, but it was not. His season wasn't focused around the Vuelta. His season was focused on the classics. Then he did some mountain biking. Then he did the Giro. You know, who had the best preparation here? That's the typical situation always of the Vuelta. The Vuelta is the second or the third chance for the people who haven't been able to be successful in their main exam earlier in the season.
And well, okay, that takes me to my next question. Preparation. I thought Pidcock, it actually aligned pretty well for him. But someone else that I thought would be better prepared that was not. Juan Ayuso, so he crashes out of he crashes in the Giro, leaves with a bee sting, but his knee was clearly bothering him. Mm-hmm. He has all summer to prepare for the Vuelta. The team says he's a co-leader with João Almeida and then shows up, gets dropped on the first mountain stage and then says, well, I'm not prepared. I'm not a leader.
Yeah, I think there's a logical explanation for that, Spencer. I think it was never the plan. It was not the plan for Ayuso to do the Giro. I think I saw somewhere earlier in the season a statement from UAE, and I would suspect that things were still, I'm going to say, more or less okay. We don't really know, right, what the situation was between UAE and Ayuso. I think there's two different things there. With Ayuso, there's the situation between the team, boss, and riders and Ayuso, and then there's a situation Machin Ayuso, which is a good relationship. So I think for Machin it's also really difficult. Machin is the sports manager, right? But in the case of Ayuso, UAE put out a statement sometime that they said they wouldn't have their young riders do 2 Grand Tours in one season. So it was not the plan, and I think while Ayuso he abandoned the Giro, he didn't do the Tour, and it was initially the plan that Pogačar would do the Vuelta. And Pogačar, I think, decided probably in the last week of the Tour that he was for sure not going to the Vuelta because he was sick of it.
Yeah.
And then I think it came as a negotiation that Ayuso would do the Vuelta, see how it goes. In the middle of all these negotiations for him to leave the team, he was not prepared. End of story. Not physically and especially not mentally. His mind is already with next year, which, by the way, is going to be a little trek. I saw that he's on the verge of. It's not official, but I think we can say it here with pretty high certainty that he's going to sign with Little Trek for 5 years.
Didn't you say why do these guys do these long-term contracts?
I don't know. I think I am blown away. It's why would you sign 5 years if you're dealing with riders, with agents who, as soon as something doesn't go right, they look for an out. I think there's enough precedents now. There's Remco who leaves early on his contract. There's Ayuso. There's contracts being broken like legally in Belgium. Uiterbroeks and Maxim van Giels terminated their contract legally. So why would you sign 5 years? 5 years is a long time.
And so if let's say you're Ayuso, you're going Little Trek. and I said, I think at the start of the Vuelta, maybe this was a private conversation, that the Vuelta is extremely predictive of the next year. So Vingegaard's great, right? We knew he was great, but Almeida looks like this he's building confidence. He's getting better. He's got second. Tom Pidcock, that guy could be a GC podium contender for a while. Jai Hindley is back. Matthew Riccatello's turning up. Giulio Pellizzari looks fantastic. 6th overall in his second Grand Tour of the year.
Young as a 21-year-old.
21-year-old. Sepp Kuss looks great. Felix Gall looks great. Tired from the Tour, still finishes 8th. Matteo Jorgensen, tired from the Tour, finishes 10th. Not what he wanted, but he's good. He could podium a Grand Tour. It's actually doesn't look great. If it's becoming a crowded market, if you want to go be a GC leader somewhere, there's a lot of good riders. Think about Jai Hindley. See the 4th, 5th. If you think of a Remco Evenepoel, where do you even stand on the GC totem pole at
Primoz
Red Bull
and Simon Yates?
Yeah. So it's tough living. Lipowitz, coming up. So, man, that talk about not remembering stuff. Lipowitz, 3rd at the Tour de France. Wow. But Mike, the thing I was going to ask you, the last question before we move on, will João Almeida win a Grand Tour in his career?
I think he has it definitely in him. I think he can win a Giro. He can win a Vuelta. Tour de France, it's different. And, as long as he's on UAE, he's not going to win the Tour when Pogačar goes for it. But listen, he's up there with the 3-4 top riders in GC, and he seems to be a great teammate whenever Pogačar's there. Seems to get along really, really well with Pogačar. So I think he can win a Grand Tour. Next year, maybe the Giro. Why not? He was 3rd already there.
I think if he's healthy at the Giro this year, that's the race he probably would have won. That type of Grand Tour where it's not Pogačar, not Vingegaard.
But another guy I really want to touch a bit on Tom Pidcock, Spencer. I think nobody would have thought that he would be 3rd in this Vuelta. Not even himself, not his team. I think they were trying for a GC top 10, maybe top 5, 3rd position. The way he held on, he had a few difficult stages, but he did not crack at all. And so my question is now, what's next? And what's the future for Tom Pidcock in terms of stage racing and Grand Tours? This was a hard Vuelta, the competition. Vingegaard, multiple Grand Tour winner. Almeida, now multiple Tour de France, Grand Tour podium. Hindley, Grand Tour winner. He's up there with these guys. So will we now see Pidcock make a shift in his mind and try to see where his limit is in Grand Tours? And I think he kind of hinted a bit. This could also obviously be the high of the moment. But after the race, he said, I now start to think that maybe I can win a Grand Tour one day, which I personally think Pidcock is one of the biggest talents in cycling. It's just a matter of him focusing purely on stage racing. And I think if he does 1 or 2 seasons focusing on stage racing and long climbs and recovery, this guy, if there's one guy who can add his name to the elite of the few big ones, the big 3, the big 4, whatever, I think it's Tom Pidcock.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think this is going to help him in non-Grand Tour goals. I do want to talk about that on the other side of the break. But in terms of GC, Tom Pidcock, very good, getting 3rd here. Here's something I hadn't quite realized until I looked at it, wrote it all down. So he's on Q36.5. That's probably the first obstacle. And you think they're a well-funded team. They're good. What's the problem? Do you know how many of the last 9 Grand Tours, how many of those were won by teams that are not Visma or UAE?
Of the last 9, so that's the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna guess none, right?
1, and it's because you don't remember it because it's Primoz on a different team.
Primoz
on Red Bull.
Yeah, Primoz on Red Bull. Yeah.
Visma's won 5 of the last 7 Vueltas. And then one of those is a fake a fake Visma because Primo's won one of those, and then Remco's the other one. Like it's actually, and then this rivalry between, you think of the rivalry as between Vingegaard and Pogačar. It's actually really between Visma and UAE because, you know, they've won Visma's won 5 of those 9. UAE's won 3. All those are Pogačar. But if you go back to the Giro this year, that was Visma versus UAE, Simon Yates versus Isaac Del Toro. And then at the Vuelta, Vingegaard versus Almeida. So it actually is like, I hadn't quite realized how good this rivalry was, but also that the Grand Tours are just won by the same 2 teams. It's kind of shocking to see.
Yeah. It's quite impressive. Yeah.
But let's take a quick break. And then I do want to talk about Tom Pidcock. And I think this sets him up for World Championships quite well. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink AG1 every day because I was tired of taking supplements and wanted a single solution that supports my entire body and covers my nutritional bases every day. I needed better gut health, a boost in energy, immune system support, and I'm terrible at taking vitamins, pills, and frankly, eating my greens, if I must admit. Every morning I come down, I have my AG1 canister in the fridge. I got my little AG1 mixer. I just dump it in with some water, shake it up, drink it. I'm on the treadmill and I'm feeling great and giving my body the nutrition it craves. And all you have to do, if you want to try AG1 yourself, is head to drinkag1.com/themove to get a free welcome kit, including a bottle of vitamin D and 5 AG1 travel packs. That's a $76 value when you first subscribe. That's drinkag1.com/themove. And AG1 has leveled up even more with their AG1 Next Gen. It's an upgraded formula that's been clinically proven to increase healthy gut bacteria by 10 times, all for the same price of less than $3 per day. So remember, head to drinkag1.com/themove for 10% off. Okay, Johan, you're talking about Tom Pidcock finishing 3rd. I think a breakthrough ride for this guy. Just to get through a race. I was talking about Ayuso, like, I don't like that he, once you sit up and you're not in the GC, it's hard to transform back into a GC rider. Well, Pidcock did that because now he's proven, like, later in his career that he can ride for GC in a Grand Tour.
Later, he's still young.
But he actually, he's the same age. What's funny is, like, all these guys are roughly the same age. And we're talking about, people talk about Pogačar retiring. And I'm like, well, he's the same age as Remco and Pidcock, basically. Yeah. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. But I think we're talking about the GP Montreal that we watched this weekend. Fantastic race, both Quebec and Montreal. Like, I would say put American, if you could even say American bike racing exists anymore. Like, those 2 races look fantastic and are doing great. But Brandon McNulty won. Tadej Pogačar kind of let him win. They crossed the line together at Montreal. But we were saying, we're really reaching here at this point, though. We're saying Pogačar did not, I don't think he looked as strong as he did last year at these races before he won Worlds in Zurich. They're going to Kigali, and the race is in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, unless I'm mistaken. And it's at altitude at 5,000 feet. Who amongst these people, I don't know if anyone looks incredibly well prepared, except I think this Vuelta is like perfect preparation for Tom Pidcock.
But it's also not altitude training. They have been at altitude a bit, but listen, I think Pidcock is somebody that for the World Championships needs to be reckoned with. It's obviously not, nobody can say with this form that this course is too hard for Pidcock. There is no way. I mean, it's perfect for him.
Yeah.
It's even actually, I think it's great because the climbs are, there's a lot of climbing, but it's a lot of repetition. So the climbs are not extremely long. Maybe 2.5 kilometers max. I don't know. I haven't really analyzed the course, but it's not like mountain passes, right? It's not super, super long climbs. So, listen, in this form, man, I think Pidcock could be a rival for, normally, listen, Pogačar has an almost identical trajectory compared to last year. Won the Tour. I think last year finished the Tour with more energy than this year. But then he started back in Quebec and Montreal. Quebec, he tried to win, finished 7th, and then Montreal, he won dominantly. This year, he did the same. He tried to attack once, didn't work, finished further down. Yesterday, attacked at exactly the same lap as last year, 2 laps to go. Then, Brandon McNulty dropped Quinn Simmons and, stayed there at 15 seconds until Pogacar waited for him. It's difficult to say, he's up there. He's at that, close to that level. Is he? I think it's more a mental and freshness case than physical condition. But he won't win every year. I mean, it's bike racing. It's not a guarantee. Everybody thinks Pogacar is going to show up at the Worlds, and he's going to win whenever it's hard. I mean, he won't win every year, and maybe this year he doesn't win, and somebody else will win, and that person could for sure be Tom Pidcock.
Yeah, I mean, Worlds is the weirdest of all the races. I quite like it because it's strange, right? Even think of Flanders, fantastic race. It's become formulaic, It's like we know everyone knows exactly when they have to expend a certain amount of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Worlds, I mean, they just like cook up a new route every year, and then even when they cook it up, it's kind of ambiguous. I'm looking not a lot of information about this route. I don't think anyone's reconned it. There is one longer climb, 6K long at 7% in the middle of the race.
That's not on the local laps. That's in the middle.
No, that's on the extended lap. And those local laps, they wear people out. Like think about Scotland. Who would have thought Glasgow?
And the distance, Spencer. I mean, the World Championships is, what is it, 260, 270?
Basically 270. I'm seeing, is it correct, 5,000 meters of climbing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It is 5,000 meters climbing.
I think it's over. It's like 5,300. That's a lot of climbing.
Yeah.
But I think what Pidcock has held him back in years past is like not having that depth sometimes. And, it's a great rider, and he would kind of get burned off in these harder races by guys like Pogacar. But Tadej Pogacar, there's only one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, man, coming out of this Vuelta, he looks robust. He looks very fit. I would not write him off for Worlds.
Yeah, I think another observation, Spencer, is it's a shame that Jonas Vingegaard is not going to the Worlds.
Yeah.
This is a great course for him too. I mean, yes, it's true that Jonas is not famous for great performances in one-day races. I think he only won one-day race in his career, actually. Don't remember
very
which one
small
it was.
one-day race. It's not World Tour. It is, I believe it's remember these early season French races, name, the Drôme Classique. I think that's the only one.
But that's obviously also because, it's not because he can't win them. It's because he just doesn't focus on them, and he just not motivated for them, and he knows that his strength is in stage races. But it would be great to see Jonas and Tadej, and Primoz is going. Let's not forget about Primoz. Careful with Primoz in the Worlds. Pidcock, Remco.
Do we know is Primoz been altitude training?
I don't know, but he's for sure. I mean,
it's possible.
If he's not prepared, he wouldn't. He would. I don't think he would be a candidate himself to go to the World. So
I think he has a house at altitude in the Alps too. So he might actually be out there correctly preparing when no one else is.
Yeah. So I would love Jonas to see him, but he's done the Tour, he's done the Vuelta, and the Vuelta he carried a bit of illness, looked like, okay, he good enough to win, but not dominant. So I can also understand that at some point, you say, hey, I don't want to drag this on for another 2 or 3 weeks,
Yeah, it is a shame. I wish he was doing it. He's doing European championships.
You see what that's weird. That's
weird.
Where are the European championships?
They're in France. These UCI run races are not so easy to find information about. It does not list the location of it.
I haven't even looked at. Anyway, listen, the European Championships. That's an artificial event.
It might be in. Where in French Limburg? Is that a thing?
No, French Limburg. No.
It's so. Wow, where is it? Privas is the
Privas. That's in France.
Okay.
It's in France. But yeah, the fact that we don't know, the fact that there's no information about it, it's an event that is there to keep the European Cycling Federation alive, which isn't needed. It's, it doesn't need to exist. The European Cycling Federation. It's just another one of those administrations that's there for the sake of existing. But not saying, okay, when you have the European jersey as a rider, you're the European champion, which is nice. But there's other continental champions. There's the American, there's the is it the American or the Pan American champion or whatever?
I don't want to comment on that.
There's the African one. There's there's the Asian one. Nobody knows who they are.
Yeah, I would say not necessary. I don't think they add to the grassroots growth of the sport or development, but they're there nonetheless. Mm-hmm. I guess if he thought he could win, he would probably go. He must not think he can win.
It could be that we see Jonas next year riding around all year long in the European champion jersey. Why not?
Yeah.
When is it? When is it actually?
It says October 5th, 10/5. So
wow, that's late.
That is late. Can that be right?
Good luck with that. Good luck with that date and getting a proper competitive field at the start.
Well, that is kind of weird actually. Now that it is October 5th. I feel like it didn't used to be that late. It's clearly a well-run event that we know a lot about.
It's an artificial event that's there for the sake of existing. It means nothing.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those. Speaking of, and then it's sad. I wish he was going, but it's also not that close. Like if you were like, hey, do you want to go to Kigali in Rwanda? Yeah, I just finished the tour in the Vuelta. I might say I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah, it takes extra preparation. Need to be there on beforehand. There's not that much time difference with Europe, but it's time difference for the guys who come from Canada. Not that I'm going to assume that Pogacar and the Europeans who went to Canada, they didn't even take the time to adjust to the time zone from there. It's just better to do the races, get it over with, and get back and stay on the European time zone because it fits better for Africa.
Yeah, Pogacar's is like, you come back from Europe, you're waking up at like 4 a.m. You're like, I'm just a 4 a.m. guy now. This is when I wake up. And then 8 p.m. comes around.
But listen, Spencer, we didn't. I think we have to talk about it. About the Vuelta, these protests, man.
Yeah.
It's what a shame. What a shame for the Vuelta. What a shame for the riders. What a shame for the sport of cycling. That this has happened, and and I know that people are sometimes careful of, it seems that if you cannot have an opinion about it, or you're getting judged as whatever, pro-Israel or pro this or pro that. I just think it's bullshit, these protests at these races. We've said already beforehand, cycling is accessible, the most accessible sport there is on the public roads during a very, very long distance, uncontrollable. But man, this has gotten out of hands here in Spain, and no stage yesterday, no podium. I'm sad for the riders, and whoever wants to protest for any cause, they can do it in a different way. They did put the safety in danger many times of the riders.
Oh yeah, think of the bottom of the climb on stage 20.
Yeah, and and then then you have. I live in Spain, and the president of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, coming out with a statement like, yesterday he was somewhere at an event in Andalusia, and I saw his speech. And actually, I was watching it in the car, and my son said, that he says, this is not true. This is AI. I said, no, this is true. And he said, no, this is AI. It's not possible. Then when we came home, I looked at the speech. It's true. The guy said, today we had our national Tour of Spain finishing, and this is the president of Spain. National Tour finished. A great job by the riders. We respect the riders, but I really applaud all the protesters who were present, and applaud the Spanish people. This is crazy, man. I mean, like it goes beyond the problematic of what's happening in Israel and Palestine and Gaza. This was political. This was a political instrument used by the politicians here, because if you look at who was there, I'm going to say the majority of the people were protesting didn't know what they're protesting for. They just were there for the sake of protesting for anything. And that's what's so sad. So let's hope that this doesn't go any further in other sporting events. But I'm afraid that cycling is the most vulnerable sport, and that this will be repeated in the future. So, yeah, I mean, don't want to look too far ahead, but the Spanish people now, or these people who have organized these events, they've seen now it works. Do you remember where the Tour de France of next year starts?
Yeah, I believe it starts in Spain.
It's Spain.
Well, and even outside of the Spanish people, these specific protests, Mikhail Kwiatkowski correctly said today that, like, well, now for the model's proven that if you want to draw attention to anything, you can shut down a bike race, because there's nothing.
I read this interview of one of the sport directors of Israel Premier Tech is Spanish. He's been there for a long time, and he gave an interview that I don't know. I think he's from the Basque Country. I'm not sure, but I think he's from the Basque Country, and he had already given certain interviews because he gave his testimony what they were enduring during the race. And he said, we just want to do our job. The poor guy had to abandon the Vuelta in the last week and he'll go home to his family because his family at home was getting threatened for their father and her husband being at the Vuelta at directing a team.
It's terrible. I mean, these riders on like the team, and it's obviously not fair. And then I don't know, the Spanish prime minister came out today and said, well, if Israel was banned from sport, none of this would be a problem. That's the simple solution. But I don't know setting aside just all of that, I don't even know.
Sport. What will sport change to the? I mean, listen. I mean, again, people are careful to say what they think, because I have absolutely. I mean, I don't have any fear of getting canceled or criticized. I just say, do it in a different way. Don't go protest at a bike race or at a sporting event. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, and it has nothing to do with the core of the problem. That's clear to me.
And what do people want? Do they want Israel Premier Tech, the team, to go away? Well,
I mean, what is that going to change? What is that? Well, first of all, Spencer, let's not forget, for the people who don't have any background, the team Israel Premier Tech is, first of all, it's not an Israeli team; it's a Canadian team, right? Or I don't know where,
it used to be Canadian. They are now, I believe, registered in Israel.
Are they? Okay, I didn't know that.
I think that's easily changed, though. But
it's a private person who invests money in a sports team who happens to be Canadian Israeli, right? Whatever. I mean, you can be in favor of the guy or against him or whatever. You can like him or not like him, but let me tell you something. And I don't want to go into too much, problems or controversy. But if we would X-ray the majority of the teams in pro cycling, and this is just cycling. Let's just not think and talk about other sports which are much bigger. If for the sake of, or the principle of fairness and and whatever happening in the world, there would not be a lot of teams left in the pro peloton. Let me tell you. There's every organization has its pros and its cons, and I think they made the decision, though Israel is not in the name anymore, so obviously that's for a reason. At the end of the day, it's a team, and they have a license. There's nothing against this team that can prohibit them from participating. As far as I know, there's for the moment nothing against any Israeli sports team, not even the national teams in any sports. They're participating everywhere. So why would you focus your energy and anger at a cycling team in the Tour of Spain? This is what I don't get.
Yeah, a lot to chew on there. But I'm worried about the future. I'm worried about next year. Like, can any races happen? But let's just say this. Let's say ASO goes to Israel Premier Tech, goes to Sylvan Adams, says, hey, man, we can't, this is not good. We can't have this. They come to an agreement. The team is registered in Canada. It's called Premier Tech in 2026, just hypothetically. Are people okay with that? I would assume no, right? And then it's just like, well, what do you want them to do? Do you just want them to go away? And then I don't even think that would help, Johan. Like, if there's no Israel Premier Tech next year at the Tour, do we still have disruptive protests? Like, is Tour of Flanders going to get shut down? I'm concerned about all these races now.
My question is, Spencer, all the shit that has been made here by these protesters, and I repeat, the majority of the protesters don't even know what they're protesting for. They're there because they are part of a movement in Spain, and they just want to disrupt whatever they can disrupt. What will this change to the core of the horrible problems that are happening in that part of the world? It will change nothing. It's a drop in the ocean.
I believe, I guess we're applying logic to something where there's not logic. I have the same frustration, but here, even I'm not going to say their name, but there's another team in this Vuelta that's owned by the richest person in Israel. No one's protesting them. Also, there's a major Spanish soccer club sponsored by the richest person in Israel, not sponsored, owned by. Co-owned. And there's no protesters blocking their bus from going to the games. It's just, I don't fully understand why cycling. I guess it's easy. I guess it's an easy mark would be the.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. Too bad. I mean, listen, it was a great race, but I think everybody leaves with a really sad and bitter taste that, it didn't have to end this way.
Yeah, and I was confused. Like, why did they even start this final stage? Obviously, they couldn't. And then Daniel Friebe, I thought, had a good perspective on it, where it's like, well, the actual people working at the race, like the organizers, are like, they're stressed, they're working their butts off, total nightmare for them, right? And they're like not even in a frame of mind where they can even make balanced decisions because they're fried out. Also, we crap on the UCI a lot on this podcast. Today, I cannot believe this statement. The statement just came out as we are recording, but this is just an excerpt from it where this is, I guess, from David Lepartien in some respects because he's the president.
My good friend, David.
Yeah, our good friend. In this case, I actually on his side, but we regret that the Spanish Prime Minister and his government have supported actions that could hinder the smooth running of a sporting competition and in some cases express their admiration for the demonstrators. This position is contradictory to the Olympic values of unity, mutual respect, and peace. It also calls into question Spain's ability to host major international sporting events. Like, that is pretty serious. Like, but I mean, does the Vuelta run? What happens to the Vuelta next year, Johan? Do they move it to another country? This is a big mess that they've created.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think this is just the beginning. Well, you need. I think you need to look at it. In other countries, are these kind of protests actually even possible? Is the authority force able to act differently? I think there's no fear factor here. The police was there, but they're not allowed to do anything. So it's a lot easier for the protesters to basically make a mess and make sure that that the riders. I mean, the amount of times they jumped on the road and blocked the riders, touched the riders. I read some testimonials from riders on other teams, even Cofidis, or whatever. They were called insulted, spit on, called murderers. I mean, this is crazy. Got out of hand.
It is out of hand. It is crazy. It makes no sense. You're like, as far as I don't think Bob Jungels is is pulling any strings at the international level, but yet he's the one getting stopped on the Angliru. We're one trip away too from that guy was going to go into the peloton and take down multiple riders going like 45K an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But the Tour de France, let's keep an eye on that. I'm quite curious to see what they do, because that could be a problem if they start it as planned in Barcelona. But we'll keep our pulse on that. I did see the Tour route comes out October 23rd, so I'm quite curious to see what that is. We'll be doing a show on it. Anything else, Johan, before we take off?
No. When is our next show? Is it the Worlds?
Well, no, you and I will be back on Friday.
Oh, okay.
I regret to inform you, with our weekly show, the Move Plus, which is one of my favorite shows that we do.
Good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to
it. Thanks, Johan, and we'll speak soon.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.